Okay, serious question. If I told you that a potato battery and a breadboard could probably run half the games on today's list, would you believe me? Probably not, but let's face it, portable consoles these days are absolute beasts when it comes to playing indie games. Whether you're sneaking in a few hours on a bus ride or ignoring everyone at a family reunion. Indie games are like potato chips. They're bite-sized, irresistible, and somehow you always end up devouring 20 of them at once. So, for this video, we are diving into 19 indie games that don't just work on handheld consoles. They flourish, turning your commute or couch session into a pixel-perfect adventure. Let's get into the digital goodness. Indie games in particular have led a golden age of Metroidvanias, platformers, and pint-sized action titles that practically beg to be played on a portable console. Hollow Knight and its sequel Silksong are basically legends in this genre. The original Hollow Knight, developed by Team Cherry using Unity, already ran beautifully on the first-gen Switch. But with Silksong on Nintendo Switch 2, things get seriously souped up. We're talking steady 120 FPS. Now, let's take a moment to talk about FPS. I'll share some data I found here and there, but remember that FPS depends on many factors. For example, when a game is developed, the game engine can set a maximum FPS limit. This means that even if the console is powerful and could reach higher performance, the game itself might not be designed to use it fully. And load times fast enough, you'll barely have time to check your snack supply. The sense of precision in combat and tricky platforming is just sharper in handheld, especially since the OLED screens on newer consoles make the hand-drawn art practically glow. Did I mention no frame drops? Even in monster-packed boss fights, the action stays butter smooth. Which matters because trying to parry lace at 24 FPS isn't my idea of fun. Plus, if you're going to speedrunning or Steel Soul no death runs, the instant response and barely there load screens give you zero excuses to blame the hardware. Sorry, it's all on you now. Moving to the summit, literally and figuratively, we have Celeste. Pixel-perfect platformers can be widely frustrating with mushy controls, but Celeste is lean, mean, and incredibly responsive on Switch and other portable devices. According to Celeste's RRM64 project, the game was carefully tailored for Nintendo Switch's ARM architecture, ensuring smooth physics and snappy input even in the hardest platforming rooms. Everest mod support, thanks to the open source scene, also means aspiring indie developers can poke around Celeste's guts for workflow inspiration. For those who crave chaos, Dead Cells transforms the roguelike formula into a travel-friendly obsession. Developed in Hakes, yes, that's a language, not a typo, using the Heaps engine, Dead Cells was designed from the ground up for portability and swift restarts. How does it actually perform on handheld? Thousands of Switch players report that it's fantastic in handheld. Aside from the classic grips about slightly longer load times on big DLC or mega crowded screens, the 30 FPS lock and minimal crashes mean that just one more run syndrome is full force. The concise action loops, dying and respawning in seconds, sweet short play sessions. Roguelike progression, with unlockable weapons and upgrades, is perfectly bite-sized. And you can safely close the lid on the console mid-run. Everything's saved, chaos and all. Feeling less stabby and more show and grow? Stardew Valley is the undisputed king of chill farming. And let's be honest, gentle capitalism. Its portable versions, especially the new Nintendo Switch 2 edition, bring performance bumps and local 4-player co-op via game share. Mouse controls via Joy-Con 2, and best of all, touch input for everything from planting parsnips to giving your digital spouse a passive-aggressive pickle. The UI is clean and readable in handheld. And crucial, Stardew Valley runs entirely offline, never nagging for a logging or threatening to disconnect if you lose a spotty Wi-Fi signal mid-meal. Sadly, you still can't divorce your spouse any faster with the power of the new hardware. But can you plant 100 potatoes in a single evening under a blanket fort? Absolutely. Let's snap back to story-driven chaos. Undertale fits the Switch and mobile consoles like a glove. With its retro graphics, tight controls, and a narrative that somehow transcends the tiny RPG box constraints. On Switch, the port's mostly identical to the PC original, complete with some exclusive content like bonus dog shrines, and more importantly, no performance hiccups. The bite-sized battles, inventive bullet hell dodges, and surprise narrative twists are at their weirdest best when played somewhere unexpected, like a dentist's waiting room. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove delivers the full suite of campaigns in buggy-free, flawless form on handhelds, running at a locked 60 FPS, never dropping a frame no matter how many enemies or sparkly treasures fill the scene. The pixel art pops on the small screen, and the game's offline self-contained gameplay loop is exactly what you want for short, repeatable bursts. Tight platforming? Check. Quick restarts? Absolutely. Deadly spikes to embarrass you in public? More than you think. Rounding out the section, Katana Zero is a hyper-fast, hyper-stylish action game that basically feels built for the Switch OLED experience. According to reviews and actually handheld footage, the game's neon-soaked pixel art, quick restarts, and speedrunner-friendly design are the perfect fit for on-the-go session. The bite-sized levels are ideal for portable play, and no one can see how many times you died, unless, of course, you shout at the screen in a coffee shop. Let's talk tactics. Into the Breach is the textbook example of a strategy game that feels tailor-made for handhelds. Developed by Subset Games with a focus on quick, repeatable, puzzle-like encounters, Into the Breach's interface was expertly ported to Switch. There's no text too small, no clunky controls, and the whole thing runs butter smooth with quick load times and excellent battery life. Since each map fits a single screen and turns are digestible in a few minutes, this game is ideal for bus stops, airports, or pretending to listen to that work meeting on mute. Bonus. You can savor the brutal "oh no, I just ruined everything" moments in blissful privacy. Hyper Light Drifter is another adventure that exploded on the indie scene thanks to its atmospheric world, cryptic story, and pulse-raising combat. The Switch Special Edition runs at a silky 60 FPS, both docked and handheld, and includes exclusive items to spice up the already tight gameplay loop. The UI and pixel art are turned for small screens, and boss fights land firmly in that infuriating but fair zone, making road rage on public transit a real possibility. The sense of non-linear exploration means you can poke around new areas even if you only have 10 minutes to spare, perfect for periodical play. For those craving a more cerebral vibe, Gris is an emotional puzzle platformer wrapped in a delicate watercolor art. On Switch and similar devices, it runs at 60 FPS, no matter where you are, and the visual style, while slightly lower in handheld resolution, remains breathtaking. Short puzzles, clever platforming, and the absence of the game over screens make Gris a relaxing, almost meditative break from the outside world. And then there's A Short Hike, the indie darling that gives players a miniature open-world island to explore at their own pace. This Unity-based gem was explicitly tweaked for short bursts of play. Run, climb, soar, and chat with NPCs in 5-minute increments, or completely zone out for hours. With adaptive music and a forgiving approach to controls, a short hike is both a game and a relaxing digital vacation. It's won more awards than your neighbor's sourdough starter, and for good reason. It makes the handheld console feel like a pocket-sized therapy session. Curious how action RPGs fare on portable systems? Moonlighter is a shopkeeping dungeon-crawling hybrid that feels snugly at home on a small screen. While there were early reports of frame rate dips in the deeper dungeons of the Switch port, developers patched performance, and restarts and frequent saves keep things smooth. The gameplay loop, dive in, loot, survive, and return to your shop, naturally splits into quick sessions, aligning perfectly with the "I have 10 minutes between calls" style of handheld play. Don't forget about card-based strategy. Slay the Spire is a deck-building roguelike famous for its addictive just one more run cycle. On Switch, the controls were mapped cleverly. Buttons replace mouse clicks, and performance is rock solid in both docked and handheld, making it a prime pick for offline train journeys, board evenings, or lunch break boss battles. The game's autosave and suspend functions ensure you never lose progress, even if you close the console lid in the middle of a tricky 40 minutes descent. And then there's The Messenger, a retro-inspired Ninja Gaiden-esque platformer. Drawing praise for its witty dialogue, addictive music, and smooth control, The Messenger feels, according to a suspiciously large number of Reddit users, like it was designed for the Switch first and ported to everything else as an afterthought. Backtracking can be a bit tedious, but the short and challenging level design means you can pick up and drop off your ninja adventure at any point. Even Metroidvania fusion mechanics, with their war toggling between past and future, are intuitive and quick to trigger via handheld controls. Now, let's get into the narrative-driven, artistic, and cozy core session, starting with Tunic, an isometric action-adventure where you play an adorably tough fox with a penchant for cryptic maps and mysterious shrines. On Switch, the polygonal art style is both eye-catching and easy on the small screen. Tunic's performance is great, with only occasional blur or hiccups in big boss battles, rarely disruptive and easily fixed by a restart. The game encourages exploration and self-guided discovery, making it tailor-made for snackable play sessions. The ambient soundtrack syncs perfectly with on-the-go audio, and if you need more motivation, the core design is full of aha moments, even if you only have a few minutes spare. If you want a longer, more narrative-driven journey, Eastward is a delightful and sometimes grim post-apocalyptic action-adventure by Pixpill. Released on Switch, it pairs pixel art reminiscent of classic JRPGs with a story that unfolds in bite-sized episodes. Players switch between two characters, and sessions flow naturally, since puzzles and dungeons are chunked into brief, satisfying segments. Reports from the field note an occasional crash after cutscenes or autosaves, but these are rare and generally fixed in recent patches. No internet? No problem. Eastward is fully offline once installed. For the masochistically inclined, Rainward offers a grueling survival experience as a slug cat fighting for its life in a bleak, weather-ravaged world. While the Switch version unfortunately has some memory leak issues and occasional frame rate drops, especially after long play sessions, restarting the game periodically solves most problems. So, plan for short, intense bursts of play and periodic breaks. The intricate, emergent ecosystem makes exploration a tense but rewarding affair that thrives on the unpredictable interruptions of real-world and handheld gaming. For something on the softer side, Spiritfarer is an emotional management sim about shepherding spirits to the afterlife. And it's arguably at its best as a cozy, bedtime handheld title. Spiritfarer runs smoothly on Switch with barely any glitches. The game's loop, build a boat, manage a crew, craft, cook, and say goodbye to friends, is as absorbing as it is peaceful. Any rare crashes are harmless thanks to autosave, and Spiritfarer's gentle pacing makes stumbling through menus or minigames with sleepy eyes a core feature, not a bug. Honing your reflexes, Ori and the Blind Forest and its sequel Will of the Wisps both run beautifully on handheld Switch. The original locked at a full 60 FPS with upgraded animation over the PC Xbox versions. The vibrant painterly visuals and haunting soundtrack feel perfectly at home on the OLED screen. And the Suspend Anywhere feature means no more losing progress to a dead battery or dead character. While the sequel dips in frame rate during the most hectic moments, both games remain visually stunning and mechanically smooth. The only small problem, smaller characters and zoomed out camera can make tracking Ori a bit exhausting in portable mode, but that's a small price for such portable beauty. And this is the end. My only friend, the end. We've covered a diverse lineup of 19 indie games that are prime picks for portable consoles, each thriving on tiny screens and in those fleeting offline minutes that make up real life. In my opinion, these games don't just run on portable consoles, they shine, often exceeding the experience you'd find on PC or TV. The performance tweaks, custom UI, and session-friendly design philosophies are a great study for up-and-coming developers. So, what do you think? Did I miss your favorite on-the-go indie treasure? Which game from this list ate up most of your battery life? And how many times did you just one more run yourself all the way to sunrise? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.